My oldest son recently joined the swim team, which has made for daily back and forth trips to the pool, countless loads of towels in the laundry, and the faint smell of chlorine permeating our house, cars, and general lives. With so much time in the sun and water, his skin has turned a deep golden brown, and his sun-kissed hair now has the kind of radiant blonde highlights women rip out of magazines and pay big bucks for their hairdressers to reproduce. That's right, my son is blonde. Blonde. While blonde hair is certainly not an oddity in my lovely neighborhood of manicured lawns and pedicured toes, let me assure you, this is extremely rare in a half-Egyptian child. As you might expect from somebody with a full set of Middle Eastern DNA, I have olive skin and an overabundance of dark, coarse, thick, curly hair. And believe me, I wish I was just referring to the stuff on my head. It requires a significant investment of time, money, styling products, and raw upper body strength to be tamed into submission. And God forbid the humidity rises or an unexpected rain shower moves through, as it could easily double in size, horizontally speaking. For better or for worse, I always assumed my children would inherit my coloring and hair type due to the obvious dominance of our genetic pool. After all, my people have several gazillion years of history going for us. We built the pyramids. We carved a half-man, half-cat out of rock. We staged the largest protest in the history of mankind to overthrow a ruthless dictator. And then we staged an even bigger one to overthrow the jerk who came after him. We are Egypt. When I married my sweet, pale, Caucasian mud of a husband, it honestly never occurred to me that our children would look anything but Egyptian. Sure, maybe their skin would be a bit more fair, or their eyes would be on the lighter side of brown. But that's it. I just assumed that in the genetic World Cup, Team Egypt would kick the pants off of Team Scotland/Ireland/Germany/ maybe Sweden, but we're not quite sure about great-grandma's side. And then came baby, who of course looked like every other newborn out there, squishy and wrinkled, kind of like a diminutive Yasser Arafat after a clean shave. Score one for the brown folk. But within a matter of days, he began to lose that dark, familiar hair, and it was quickly replaced with, what the heck? Fine blonde strands. Those slate gray eyes I was certain were going to turn brown instead became huge baby blues and have since morphed into baby greens. By his first birthday, he was officially the golden child. During the course of that first year, I began to field some interesting questions when we were out in public together. Turns out people say a lot of funny things when your child doesn't look anything like you. The first time I recall my maternity being called into question, I was at the park pushing Blondie on the swing when a little girl sidled over and said, "Cute baby, so where'd he come from?" In my confused state, I stifled my first impulse, which was to blurt out a sarcastic, my uterus? And I wondered briefly if I needed to launch into, well, when a man loves a woman, but finally settled on, what do you mean? Well, he's not your baby because you're all brown and he's not, she explained. Are you the babysitter? And that's what many people, even today, take me to be, the nanny. So how long have you been taking care of him, they'll ask. Let's see, he turned 7 in July, then add in the 40 gestational weeks. No, make that 42 because he was so stubborn. Occasionally, people tap dance around the idea that he might have been adopted without actually daring to say the word because somehow that would be uncouth. And because I find it all so entertaining, I just let it unfold. So how was the whole, process? Was it difficult? Expensive? Do you have an open situation? One woman at a local coffee shop praised my generous spirit and offered to connect me with her niece, who had also, and I quote, rescued a child from poverty. I didn't have the heart to tell her that economic conditions in Royal Oak, Michigan, his birthplace, were actually quite stable. Oddly enough, we receive no such inquiries when my husband, he of the mighty DNA, is around, since our oldest is his virtual clone. But it doesn't bother me a bit. Though we might not look alike, each morning when I watch those big green eyes flutter open, I see what others might easily miss, the best pieces of myself reflected back. I see it in his quest for knowledge, his sweet, almost too sensitive demeanor, his goofy and somewhat sarcastic sense of humor. I see it in his love for animals, the water, and music, the way he gets lost in his favorite books, the temper tantrums he throws to cover up hurt feelings. Trust me, that boy is mine. That's why every night I run my fingers through that fluffy blonde hair and I count my blessings. Because I've been fortunate enough to discover that sometimes if you take the rough, coarse parts of yourself and mix them with a whole lot of love and more luck than any one person deserves, they come out fine, soft, and smooth, like they've been kissed by the sun. Thank you.